So the process continues. Um, yeah, I mean, so today, this morning, it's actually very interesting. So I woke up out of another disturbing dream. I don't know. It's just like it's so disturbing. It's like I have to wake up because it's like, oh my gosh. And then I think, is this real? Um, so it's just crazy. And then I have to kind of check to see, is what I was dreaming, is that reality or was that a dream? That's how vivid it was. Um, but it was a dream, so that's good. But kind of woke up out of, kind of just, yeah, just suddenly, so I was going to say violently, but just suddenly is probably a better word. So that's kind of how I started my day. Yeah. So as I reflect, I think part of that is there's just kind of this spiritual interference or spiritual, there's this spiritual warfare going on. So I'm pressing in to the harder places. I'm dealing with a lot of things in my life, and there's been some breakthroughs. There's been right. So as I continue to press in, as I continue to go deep, as I continue to process out, just a lot of stuff. The hurts, the traumas, the woundings of my life. There's just this. There's an internal conflict, and then there's also a spiritual conflict going on my behalf in the heavenlies. And so I think in the dreams, so it seems like the last few days I've had these kind of disturbing dreams. It's probably there is, again, just a lot of spiritual warfare going on because of current events, because of what's going on in my life, and just there's just a lot of enemy. Yeah, so it just seems like the enemy's active, right? So I mean, I guess that's about as best I can say is. So the enemy is active, the minions are active, his followers are active. They're ramping up. They continue to ramp up. Um, there's potentially an event this weekend because of solar eclipse. So there's a yeah. So I don't know. So it could be that's part of what I'm experiencing as well. And just there's just this struggle for um, throughout the country, right and wrong, good and evil. So it's just a strong tension that's going on, conflict. So in the midst of this, I continue my process, and so for me, for the last week, I purposely have not watched any news or tried to avoid news as much as possible because I'm dealing with my personal stuff, which is enough for me. I was already kind of off kilter, off center, out of alignment, if you will, and so I was just doing all I could just to stay in an okay place, a relatively neutral place. For a couple of days, I was not in a good place, just processing a lot of things, just things not resolved. Um, so yeah, so things were not good for me for a while, but that's part of it, right? So there's good days, there's not so good days, there's ups, there's downs, and that's a part of the process. But I keep pressing in. So this morning, as I was walking, talking with the Lord, processing stuff, um, yeah. So as I think, so I continued the purging process, right? I mean, that's kind of, there's a continuation of that. So as I get rid of stuff, in the physical, there's stuff, there's stuff that I'm getting rid of emotionally. There's stuff that I'm getting rid of spiritually. That gives room for more of the Lord to come in, heal my emotions and come in and fill my spirit, restore my spirit. And yeah, so I continue that process, and it's good. Yeah, and just walking and talking with the Lord, just what's going on, and yeah. So there was an extended walk that I had with the Lord this morning. I think I had three or four, but the last one was just really extended. I just spending a lot of time. I felt like I experienced significant breakthrough, um, and because of that, I just continued to walk and press in and continue to process and continue to ask for greater perspective, greater insight, greater revelation, and even wanting to receive more and experience more. Yeah, so I felt like the breakthrough was significant. Um, I was just experiencing a lot of, I don't know, just a lot of His grace, a lot of His mercy and compassion, um, just a greater sense of triumph and victory in the moment. Yeah, so it was really good. It was really rich. I started to journal, just kind of what all I thought was happening and what I felt that was happening. Um, I felt like the Lord was saying to remember this, to soak in as much as I can in the moment. Um, yeah, and then I don't know. So as I'm on the computer, right? So I go to the internet, and then there's some little news blurb that was kind of disturbing to me, right? All the news is not good, right? Most of the news is not good. So it kind of, again, kind of threw me off kilter. It's like, oh man, here we go again. I mean, it just seems like things are getting worse. I don't know, or it's just me. So yeah. So it seemed like I was experiencing this breakthrough, this kind of a mountaintop experience, or kind of a victory experience, triumphant celebration kind of situation. Um, and then it was kind of gone. It was like I went to that place of I don't know, probably worry or fear, because there's just again just the there's the tension, the spiritual tension is so great. It's like um, I don't know. It's just so I don't know. So that's part of the toll that it takes on me is I feel things, right? Things come through my heart, not just through my head. It just primarily comes in through my heart. So regardless of what I'm feeling in the moment, if there's something that I see that's not good, then I feel it. So anyway, so I'm still processing. I kind of vacillate, right? So I'm still not not healed, not restored. I thought I felt like I had a greater measure of restoration um, in the moment, in the morning, and I claim that, right? And um, but somehow my feelings are not in the celebratory mode that it was before. So I'm working on trying to just kind of come back to neutral, come back to center. So I've been sitting under Graham Cook, trying to listen to some words of favor. Oh, I listened to a very encouraging word from Dutch Sheets. He tends to be very intense. That's his personality, but it was encouraging to me. So kind of the gist of Dutch's message this morning was, so he kind of collaborates with Cindy Jacobs and Chuck Pierce and others. So these are kind of the spiritual generals of our nation. Very prophetic, all of them. Anyway, so he shared um, a sense that he had and that Cindy Jacobs, spoke into him and shared with him. And it has to do with kind of, where we're at, kind of I don't know, kind of the destiny of our nation, if you will. But just spoke into uh, kind of a date and a day next year that, um, yeah, so a kind of a foretelling of things to come. That on next year, so February 22nd, um, they're going to do something that they feel like the Lord's asking them to do. Um, they're going to gather the saints in Washington D.C. And then there's going to be, I don't know if it's a declaration or demarcation or some, but anyway, it's going to be a turning, that it's going to be the beginning of the turn, um, for the nation. So they're going to do a spiritual act, again, gathering the saints, that will hopefully begin the turning of the tide, um, in a very good way for the nation. So I'm encouraged by that, but it's also, wow, that's a ways to go. Um, so I think and it may happen, it might happen, but I mean, I think the event will happen, but the turning, we'll just kind of have to see. But these guys, they're just really good with, following, responding to the Lord, and doing all that He asked them to do. Yeah, so that kind of resonates with me. So it's good, but it also is also, wow, that's months, right? That's a ways to go. So there's a lot that we can be doing. I think we need to be praying for the nation. We need to be praying for the president. We need to be praying for Washington D.C. Yeah, yeah. I think that's really the gist. I think maybe of this morning was that the Lord got my attention. That there's a lot. The focus seems to be the enemy's focus is just kind of major cities around the nation, just causing chaos and crisis and calamity. That's what the enemy does. But I think the primary focus, whether we see it or not on an ongoing basis, is Washington D.C. And that there is this onslaught that just continues to work towards, um, thwarting the works of the Lord and the saints. And so there's a focused intention to create great, great disruption for Washington D.C. So I going to be praying a lot for Washington D.C. Hope everyone else is as well. So go God. Yeah. So I think the battle continues. I think the spiritual battle continues over our nation. The spiritual battle continues for the world, and each of us have a part, right? And our part is to just pray, intercede, fast, um, prayer walk, do whatever the Lord's asking you to do. But we all have a part, and it's the collaborative effect of all of our efforts to pray and fast for the nation, for our leaders, um, for, for yeah, for the world, for our neighborhoods, for our families. But yeah, that there's this great spiritual battle going on, and so praying and fasting is key. So yep. Okay, so because I was not kind of in a good place, or I was kind of thrown off kilter again this morning, trying to recenter, refocus, or realign myself with the Lord. Just also trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I, reconnect and realign? So what I started to do just now was, so I just started playing this. It's called Trauma Prayer. It's about 45 minutes long. So I just started playing that, um, and so it's been good. So for me, I've had a lot of trauma in my life, and so it helps me to. So it's just good for me. Yeah, just so I've probably sat under this about 3, 4 times now. So it's good.